Welcome to my little spot on the web and my 1 year vlog of what we did on our homestead. Week 3 has come and gone. It's the third week in January, which means we're 1 month into winter here in the Northern Hemisphere. So not a whole lot of outside activity going on. But I did retrieve one of my seed organizers from the refrigerator, but for only one seed type this week, and that is onions. There are many vegetables that I would not eat, just ask my mom, before I grew a garden, and onions were one of them. But now I use them for cooking, whether fresh or dehydrated, as well as for medicinal purposes. Medicinally, we like to use a juiced onion mixed with honey. It's a great syrup for clearing congestion. If you wrap onion slices in a paper towel and place it on your chest, that also helps to clear the lungs. And a warmed onion, or onion half, placed over the ear is soothing and healing for an earache. I have aimed for 200 onions in the past, but I'm going to go for 300 to 400 this year. I would like to try freezing as another form of preserving. Onions, like garlic, are a long-growing crop, so you have to be prepared to start seeds in January here in Zone 7A in Virginia. Otherwise, you need to shop around and order starts or sets, which were a little harder to come by the last few years. But since I've had success with seedlings in the past, that's my preferred way to grow onions. In case this is your first year growing onions, be aware that there are two different types, short day onion and a long day onion, and where you're at determines which type will grow in your area. So where we are in the Mid-Atlantic, we're kind of in between the two. So what we can grow here are short day variety, and then there's a few that are like a mixed, kind of an in-between. I think they're called intermediate. I'm not sure. But we cannot grow long day onions here. They won't bulb in time. We've come to prefer two specific onions, red burgundy for the strong flavor and medicinal use, and then the Texas early grano for the milder flavor for fresh eating. We're not against trying others. I'm just happy with these two for now. It's not a crop that I want to do too much experimenting with this year. I had 4 varieties last year, but these are our staples. I've heard that onion seeds need to be fairly fresh to have a good germination rate. I do have some home-saved seeds, but I may wait to try those out at another time. I always wonder if I did it correctly, like saving the seeds, or if they'll completely fail. So that's a little mental hurdle that I need to overcome one of these days. Once I've picked out the seeds I want to use, I head out to my potting table, lovingly built by my husband. I have some of my home mixed potting soil left from the fall of 2022. And the way I make my potting soil is I start with mushroom compost and I sift that to get rid of all the big clumps. So my mix is 2 parts sifted compost plus 1 part coconut coir. And I've already wetted the coconut coir separately. Plus a half part of perlite. And if I have vermiculite on hand, I use that as well. And this day I added in some green sand. My husband picked that up to try. I've never used that before. And this potting mix has lots of earthworms in it. They were all over the place when I was scooping through there. So it's got plenty of worm castings already included. It's only slightly moist. So I'm going to pack the compost in pretty tight to the cells so there won't be any air spaces later. And then water the soil until it's soaking, until the water's running through the bottom, because I only want to lightly water it once the seeds are planted. Now I'm doing 1 50-cell tray for each onion type. I'm putting 6 to 10 seeds in each cell. Now that's a little much, but I want to guarantee 4 to 6 sprouts per cell. So once the tray has that initial watering, before I put the seeds in, I make sure I have the soil pressed in just below the top level of the tray, because after I put the seeds in, I'm going to be adding a thin layer of soil on top of the seeds. When I was younger, I used to think I could remember what was in each tray. I know better now. I will forget. So I label the trays right away, then move them over to where the watering can is. I finish the second tray, and then sweep the extra potting mix back into the Rubbermaid container to be used later, and then a little gentle water to finish it off. Now, I started these seeds on Monday, and we had plans to be gone for 2 days this week, But I knew I had a minimum of 4 days before the first seeds would sprout. So I covered them with saran wrap to help keep the moisture in while we were gone. And the day after we got back, I saw the first little tiny white sprout popping up. So when you see that first sprout, you want to get them into super bright light right away. So on Friday, they went underneath our grow lights. And Saturday evening, this is what they look like, these little beautiful green sprouts popping up. Hasn't even been a week yet. Now these will stay under the grow lights in our second bathroom as long as I have space for them. If they get too tall or I have other crops that need to be underneath the lights, then I will eventually move them out to the Harbor Freight greenhouse until transplanting time. They will be able to handle the temperatures out there. I won't use supplemental heat hardly at all unless it's going to go below freezing. Starting onions was the big event for the third week of the homestead year. Next week, I really need to get my game on and make my list of when I'm going to be starting all of my other seeds so I have that whole plan written out and I don't have to think about it the rest of the year. I hope you have the opportunity to make yourself a warm cup of herbal tea and sit down and dream about what your garden's going to look like this year and make your plans, no matter how big or how small they are, and see what parts you can accomplish. Gardening is like a grown-up science experiment. You get to try something new every year. Have fun with it and try to grow something new you've never liked to eat before.